Welcome back, y'all. We're going to be doing something different. People always talk about Sasquatch and wild man and different things like that. Well, in my personal experience, I've only had two things happen to me, and both of them happened at the same place around the same time as right now. It's something that we call COOCHIE BOOGER. And so it's an old road, goes back through Back Creek Knobs, and there's a well back here, and there's some folklore about a young girl dying in the well, and the well got covered, and then this Sasquatch wild man type thing moved it many years ago. Well, the old well house is still here, and rumor does have it the little girl shows up in the road. Now, I haven't had that happen. I've not had that happen to me, but what I have had happen to me was a long time ago, 1988, 1989. Me and a bunch of my friends were sitting at the Sonic in Loudon, and we were bored, and the only thing you could do back then was cruise. So we decided that we'd go make a trip through COOCHIE BOOGER and go to Back Creek Knobs. So we come back here, and it had been raining, and the lead car was a Monte Carlo, a two-wheel drive car. And then there was a Mustang behind it, which is two-wheel drive. And then I had an S10, and my buddy had a little Ranger. So we come back here and brought a bunch of girls and stuff with us. And we come back here and snaked through and stopped at the well and kind of scared the girls. And we went around the back side, and they were logging part of the back side. And the Monte Carlo, of course, kind of got stuck. It was a gravel, muddy type road. And anyway, they got stuck. Well, in the process of them trying to get the car out, I was the third vehicle in line. And I'm sitting there, and I'm looking up the hill where they'd logged it, and there's a bunch of flat stumps and stuff. And there was a full moon back behind it, and as I'm sitting there, and there was a girl and a guy with me, and there was some, like I said, my friends behind me. And as I'm staring up that hill, and everybody else probably was behind me too, I noticed one object that was round. And as I'm staring up through there, it wasn't no more than 60 yards off the road. It stood up. Now we're looking uphill. When it stood up, it reminded me, just the outside image looked like matted hair of a dog or something that hadn't been groomed, or dreadlocks or something to that effect. But that's what the outline looked like. And as tall as it was when it stood up, it had to be 8-9 feet tall. Well, before I could say anything, I hear people screaming in the truck behind me. They run into me. Everybody freaks out. Everybody starts pointing and looking uphill, and this thing doesn't move to start with. Well, finally, you hear the car in front starts to move and gets over the gravel, and as we start, it turns to walk away. The silhouette of this thing, I didn't see a face, but it gives me cold chills. The silhouette of this thing just looked human-like, but very, very hairy. Well, needless to say, we got out of there and we talked about it, and this was probably junior in high school, and everybody was coming here trying to see it. Well, we come back during the daylight and didn't really see didn't see anything. Went up there and looked and couldn't find footprints or nothing, but it kind of went on. As years went on, and I got up in my mid-20s, there's a lot of things we done back then, drinking and stuff, and we would get together and we'd bring girls and different people out here. We'd meet after one of our bars we go to, Cotton Eye Joe or whatever, and we would come out here and we would bring them through and tell them the folklore story and show them the well and tell them about the little girl and all this other stuff. Well, one night, me and my buddy Joey, we didn't go to the Joe with everybody else. And my buddy Gator, and he had went to the Joe, and they got kicked out early. When he come back, he said, let's go to COOCHIE BOOGER, Back Creek Knobs. I was like, man, I don't feel like going. Well, when I went to the kitchen to get something to drink, he came there and said, hey, I got these couple girls that we're going to take with us, and said, won't you guys go and hide and scare them? I looked at Joey, and Joey looked at me and was like, shoot you out. So we grabbed our beer and threw it in the truck. We took off, and we got down here. We went all the way around the back side. And I wasn't really that freaked out at the time. And we get out and we've got our drinks with us, and we walk probably a mile back in here on this old road from the backside. Well, we're walking and talking, and we're not even really thinking about anything else going on, or about anything that's happened in the past. Sure, it crossed my mind at times, but we make conversation just to, you know, to get by. Well, as we're walking back through these winding roads, as you can see me turn the stuff as I'm going down through here, we come from the back end and we found this bank, and or there's a big bank. There's a creek that washes back and forth across the road. It goes to both sides, and we seen headlights coming, so we ducked down and got down into the ditch. And as they're approaching, we're laughing and cutting up. They get right even with us. Now, they're in a Trans Am on this old muddy road. There's girls in the back, a couple guys, but had tinted windows. Well, me and my buddy Joey just jump out, run, and smack the corner panel. You can hear the girls screaming. The Firebird tire, Trans Am tires out of there trying to get away from us. It scared them to death. So it's just me and Joey. You know, we start walking back. They had no idea it was us. They didn't stop. They went on. And as we're walking back, the trees grow up over the road. I think we're fixing them up on the well. The trees grow up over the road, and they kind of canopy above it. And me and Joey is walking down this road, and I heard something, you know, in the woods, which I'm used to stuff like that from deer hunting. But I heard something in the woods, and I stopped, and we're at the well. I'm gonna pass it up. I'll do that in another video, the folklore story. But we're walking along, talking, and I look up, and the full moon's coming through the canopy. And I looked at Joey and I said, "Hey, do you ever remember that movie, American Werewolf in London?" And he goes, "Shut up, Jamie. You know what? Don't even talk about that." And I kind of giggled it off. But the more we walked, we had boots on, you know, the more we walked, the more the road just seemed to glow from the, you know, the full moon. And about that time, I heard something sound like it jumped off of something on the ground. It was a thud. It was up to our left on this ridge. And I just kept walking. Well, as I was walking, it started walking with us. And I looked at Joey, and it's dark. He looks at me. I said, "Did you hear that?" He said, "Yeah." He says, "Probably a deer." So as we're walking, we can notice that its footsteps are keeping up with us. It's walking parallel to the left with us. So we stop. Well, when we stop, it stops dead on what we stopped. I mean, right where we stopped, there was no more noise. No more leaves rustling. We stood there a good minute. I said, maybe it's a deer or a coon or something. Let's just go ahead and I'm gonna walk on. So now we're really paying attention to this sound. So we walk probably another 5-6 steps, and it picks back up. And this is fall of the year, kind of cool year. And it's cool this night, and it's walking with us. You can hear it to the left. Well, I just bow up and stop. Joey bows up and stops. It takes 2 more steps than we do. And like I said, you can see the hair stand up on my arms. I said, "What in the world?" Joey said, "I don't know." But it's, you know, it had stopped again. So we started walking again. And as we started walking, it started walking. And instead of walking parallel to us, it started taking steps down the hill, and you could kind of hear it slide in the leaves. Well, without saying anything to either one of us said anything to one another, we take off in a dead run. This thing, all we're hearing is the gravel under our boots as we're running. This thing is running at us at an angle, and you could tell that it went from 2 feet to 4 feet. And the road bed, turn the camera around and show the road. This is how wide the road is. So we were walking along like this with less sleeves on. Okay. And so we're running out this curvy road. All of a sudden, that thing leaps, hits this road and makes a thud, goes over the right side, hits the right creek and splashes through the creek and goes up on the ridge on the opposite side. Well, just as we're running, just as we think it's went away from us, we hear it start running diagonal in front of us, or down at an angle. And we're fixing to break the bend of the truck. We hear it splice the creek again, tires up the bank. It cannot be no more than 10 foot behind us. And at that point, I thought I was gone. And instead, it ran straight, or it went on across the road behind us, hit the ridge, and ran towards the truck, where the truck would have been parked. As we run out through there and we turned a corner, I remember Joey screaming, "Unlock the truck, unlock the truck." And we're trying to get the truck unlocked, then we hear the growl. That thing had to be sitting watching. It knew where our truck was. Well, we peeled out of there and we left. Now, it really freaked us out. And after telling the story to some people, we found a lady that lives at the end of this road that when she was, I can't remember how long ago, she's an elder lady. She said one night, said she had a well house on her property. And like I said, this ain't something I experienced. This is just what she told me she seen. And she had woke up in the middle of the night and she went to the kitchen sink to get her something to drink. And it was a full moon, just like it was the 2 nights that this happened in a row for us. And about the same time of year. And as she goes to the kitchen sink, which there wasn't blinds in, it was just curtains, she's got a big field out through there, and she's seen this enormous, she said it was just ginormous, it was huge thing walking across the field. It was actually coming at an angle towards her house. And she thought, what in the world could that be? And she said it had to be at least 8-9 foot tall. She said it was just huge. She said there was a few round bales square bales in the field, and she said they were so small compared to it. Well, she didn't yell for her husband at the time. She just got her a glass, and when she turned the sink on, their well had been making a vibrating noise. And it vibrated, this thing stopped dead in its tracks and it stopped and stood there. She yelled for her husband. He come running, and as he made the noise come from the house, she said this thing dropped down on all fours, took off running, looked with its hind end bucked up, and took off running like a dog and jumped and cleared the fence on the neighbor's property into the woods. She also said that they had seen, like on muddy years, they'd seen a lot of large footprints. So this is something that really happened to me. I seen what I told you, I seen twice. I seen it twice. Now, this right here is where we were actually parked, which it's woods now, but there was right here, it ran all the way to the end, and the farmhouse I'm talking about is right there. There ain't even 60 yards from where this happened. With her it would have been in the late 80s, 90s. And this here was probably when I was 25, so it was up in the late 90s. But people ask me if I believe in Sasquatch. Do I believe in the wild man of Tennessee stories that we've heard? I would say nobody's ever surfaced to say that was a prank pulled on us either time. And somebody would have come clean with it by now. Yes, I believe there's stuff here that we can't explain. But I know this didn't have nothing to do with the hunting story. This was more just a personal story of a Sasquatch or wild man or whatever you want to call it. But it really happened to me. There's no lie about it, nothing being made up. So we figured we'd come out here tonight and drive through and tell the story. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you do, please subscribe and like. And as always, see you next time. God bless.